رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Uh, I First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me again the opportunity to share some of the thought about Islam and the purpose why we are here. And the topic of today is like the 5 objective of Islam and their implications. And normally this is like something, many scholars, because you have some scholars who just deal with jurisprudence, which is about Islamic law. And some of them, they call maqasid, the finality, the end. When Allah says, okay, something, because we cannot be sure about why Allah said this or not. But sometimes there are something is very clear, Allah said this because of this. Some of them, they call wisdom behind it. We do not know what is it, why you have to pray 5 prayers a day. We don't know why. Like what it's 5, we just to get closer to Allah, but why it is 5, we don't know those things. But some of the scholars, Abu Qasim Shatibi was known with that. Maqasid, people who just look at the finality of prescription and Islam and worship and all this. Is why Allah said, okay, this, Allah, well, you have to do this. We just have to look at Islam as a big a system. And a system like a body. You have a system, every member, like organ have its function. If something happen, like the whole system will get, like we suffer, it depend on the importance of that member or that body or that organ in your physical system, but it depends on that. Islam is the same, but Ustadh, before Qasim Shaltumi, the Imam Juwayni who came before that, like Abu Hamid Ghazali, and his teacher was Imam Juwayni, who say like Islam came to fulfill 2 big objectives, or be like 2 aims. The first is to attract benefit to humankind and maximize it, and prevent harm and minimize it. Sometimes you can do both. Sometimes what you just prevent it. We cannot prevent it, you just try to minimize it at least as possible. But from that, they say, okay, Sharia come to save and protect 5 big things. That's they call the 5, big objective of Sharia. Or sometimes they have the 5 aim or higher aim of Sharia, but it depends on Sharia is maqasid Sharia al-Kubra. They're like the 5 higher aim of Sharia. And from that is, first of all, is religion, which is Islam. Inna ad-dina 'inda Allah Islam. The religion in sight of Allah is Islam. And to protect life, and also intellect, and lineage, and property or wealth. This is the 5 big objectives. Some scholars just has added some of them, but this is the most known, because from the time of Imam Juwayni and the Ghazali and now. Some of them add liberty, or like freedom, and other the protection of the environment, but this is what is known since that time. When you look at, not every, but the majority of the big prescription in Islam, one of them will lead at least at one of these most of the time. Most of the time. Or like too many, not only one, but at least one. How Islam protect? Because Allah says, "Inna ad-dina 'inda Allah Islam." The religion in sight of Allah is Islam. And he said, وَمَنْ يَبْتَغِ غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَنْ يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ. Whoever came with a religion which is not Islam, in the day of judgment, it will not be accepted from him. And that's what Allah does many things, so many things in Islam, which protect Islam and prevent people to go outside of Islam. And I will just look at these 5. I have something I call just positive one and negative one. Positive mean the thing, when you do it, it tries to maximize that, like the higher objective of religion. And the positive is something by preventing yourself from doing that, by prohibiting that thing, it makes you, it protects you by not doing it, not by doing it, but by not doing it. If you look at that and type of religion, the 5, first of all, is prayers. That's the positive side of religion, to just make you are Muslim first, and now you pray, to make you closer to Allah, to make you perform what Allah wants. You become closer to Allah, you have more righteousness, and you worship Allah more. And from that, you'll see also the prayers is one of them. Even Allah, that's one. You are fasting, which Allah say like in Surah Al-Baqarah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. Allah, the people who believe, Allah has prescribed like fasting upon you as it has been prescribed on people before you, so you will be righteous. And you come to Hajj is the same. It's just about righteousness. All with it. We say, Allah say, in Surah Al-Baqarah, in the same, when he's talk about Hajj and anything, he says, وَتَزَوَّلُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. Bring provision, and the best of the provision is, there is righteousness, fearness, a fear of Allah. That is the same taqwa, just to strengthen that, that relationship between you and Allah. And you come also to pilgrimage, the same. All the, kindness, the good deed, be right, be just. All this is just strengthen that relationship between you and Allah, to make you more closer to Allah. The closer you are to Allah, the farther you are from like go outside of Islam. And all the good manners and righteousness, and invite people to Islam. This, is a positive one, to just make people embrace Islam, to become Muslims, to apply the Sharia of Allah in the earth, because we are steward, as you know that, and the ayah in Baqarah. And part of it is also remembrance of Allah, to remember Allah, what you say, dhikr, that's only remembering Allah and what you do, to know Allah sees you whenever you are and whatever you do. These things, like there are many, I cannot go over everything, but I'll try to see the big objective, like how those things link to the positive side of being in religion. And one of the big things which prevent religion is jihad. This is term become taboo now, like because of the misconception and misunderstanding around that word. The term jihad is the Arabic term, it's not English, it's Arabic. It means effort and reform. Effort, like jihad means effort. Effort for what? Normally, but jihad is known, there are two types of jihad. The jihad is to make effort to progress the religion of Allah, the Islam, the deen of Allah. And there are two types of jihad. There are small jihad and the bigger jihad. The small jihad is going to the battlefield and fight. That is small jihad. The biggest one is jihad against yourself and the Satan. That's the big jihad, because that one is permanent. The small one, you're on the battlefield, is temporary, but this is permanent. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, one day he was just, he was with the troop, his companion, going back to Medina. He told them, we are coming from the small jihad and we are going to the big jihad, or the bigger jihad. They say, what, the small jihad? We came from the small jihad now, from the battlefield. But the big one is the jihad against yourself, to make effort against yourself, to just forget the religion of Allah. And when it comes to the small jihad, which is the preventing, to do whatever you can spread the religion of Allah, and prevent people to come to the religion of Allah. That's what the jihad is. We prevent people to prevent them from preventing people to come to the religion of Allah. That's why even you see when there are two types of jihad. That's the small jihad. Is offensive or defensive. Defensive one, you don't have choice. Like you get attacked by the enemy, you have to defend yourself. Then it's nothing. But the offensive one, you have to have a Muslim leader who will call have the strategic plan, everything to say, okay, we have to do this. Even when you go to do that in Islam, because the end of jihad is not to fight, is to make peace, is to call people to Islam. The first of all, you have to call them to Islam. One. If they do not accept that, so okay, we do not accept, we do not become Muslims. Okay, now you become under our authority. Like we have under protection, like you do not have power to prevent people to come to the deen of Allah. If they want to be Muslim, they become Muslim. Like this land will be just governed by us, not by injustice, but with justice, and we do whatever we can do. Like they have their rights, but they have to pay, because why even the jizya? The money they pay to. If you're not a Muslim living in the Muslim soil, you have to pay that money. People say, okay, why do you have to pay that? Because it's like a tax, it's like slavery. No, because a non-Muslim is not obliged to defend a Muslim territory. He's not obliged to defend. Muslims have to defend. Because of that defense, of that protection, that money is because of that. And it's not on everyone. It's just people who can. It's on man, not on a woman. People who can fight. People who just stop. Many people who are exempt. But to just that, at the end, it's okay. You don't become Muslim. but you cannot, because they should have power to prevent people from coming to the religion of Allah. And if they say, no, we don't do this, neither this or that, neither fight will come. And whenever they say, okay, they stop fighting to go back to become Muslim or to become like on the, the command, the control of Muslim, you cannot fight. Allah says, if they lean toward peace, you have to lean toward them. Because, the end goal is not to fight. It's just to call them to the religion of Allah. That's what is there to prevent people from preventing people. Because when people who are not Muslim, they have power, they will just prevent people to come to the deen of Allah. Now the thing has changed because of the media. It's just about misconception, spreading misinformation and all this stuff. It's not maybe the direct one. Sometimes, yeah, they have like their geopolitical stuff. But at the end, it's just to prevent people from preventing people to come to the religion of Allah. And we have seen that in many countries, we know, like we all know that. This is like something like to say about the jihad. Now, what we see now, the groups like I don't want to say like name them in any name, but there are people who will say, okay, we want to establish the deen of Allah by bombing people, like killing, that do everything. What they have to do is jihad, because the first question you have to ask, there is no jihad against Muslims. You cannot do jihad against a Muslim. If it is true jihad, okay, why are you doing against Muslims? That's the first thing. And why all these groups are only on the Muslim countries? Well, they're not in non-Muslim countries. They're only in majority Muslim countries. That's the question we should ask ourselves. If you want to make jihad, why you don't go to the non-Muslim countries? But you come to Muslim country and you attack them. How many people are being killed? Like, that's statistic that no, one of the research center in the US just say many people, like people who are being killed by those people, those groups, it's more than, the Muslim are more than, the people Muslim got more damage, both suffered from those like group more than the non-Muslims. You will say, okay, someone will say maybe like non-Muslim country or the non-majority Muslim country are strong. Yeah, some of them are strong, but not all of them. You go to Africa, there are some non-Muslim, like non-Muslim majority countries, they are very, very weak. But why is there no attack happening there? It's only attacking, happening in the Muslim countries. Muslim majority country, you have to ask yourself about those questions. What those people are spreading? And what is, who are the victim of those all groups? But I don't want to go far, but that's why you have to know what we're saying. To know about the jihad, what they know so much. Just to elaborate a little bit on that, because there are many things you can say. This is a positive side of protecting religion. What is the negative side? The negative side, first of all, is the shirk, the association to Allah. That was forbidden because it's go against the religion. You cannot associate, because if you do that, you leave. Islam. Definitely, you have to come back. That is forbidden. Shirk, you cannot, because it's against the religion. The same, you have disobeying Allah. Okay, any like disobedience, regarding Allah say, okay, do this, you don't do it now. You have to, because it will lead a little bit, to the pathway when we definitely leave the Islam. Innovation is part of that. That's why innovation, because it's against the deen of Allah. What we say, because we have two major rules in anything we like. In Islam, when we rule anything, we have worship and we have transactions. The general rule in worship, that is impermissibility. What means you cannot do a worship unless you are told to do so, or you should be permissible to say, to do. What does that mean? If someone says that this type of worship is permissible, they have to bring the lead. They have to, to prove it. But in transaction is different, like it's other way around. Any transaction is halal, is permissible, until you have a dalil to say it's non-permissible. That when someone who say like some business is not good, they have to prove it that is not halal. I don't have to prove that it's halal. You have to prove that it's not halal, because that's the general rules. And anything with worship, the general rule is impermissibility. You have to bring dalil to make it permissible, because we do not know this type of the unknown. We do not know how to worship Allah. Allah has to tell us, this is the way you have to, come to me. You have to worship me this way and that way and that way. It's only based on revelation. There is nothing, and mind cannot enter that, that area. Allah knows how to just for ourselves to worship Him. But with transaction, because it's related to people, we know, okay, that's a business, that they good, that's not good. The general rule in Islam that we cannot go like to just assure justice and fairness in the system. Those is there, but we know, because it's transaction, financial dealing, we do our transaction, and with each other, we know what is good for us. But Allah says, okay, these are the rules. If you are doing anything is good, but just follow these rules. Don't go outside of this rule. Don't disobey these rules. And now this innovation part of it. And looking at innovation, you are saying like, okay, you are indirectly saying maybe the religion is not perfect. I have to improve it. Or like you bring something, you do not have dalil to do it. I mean, that means maybe you say like the explication is maybe the Prophet ﷺ didn't say everything. Hasha lillah, we cannot say that. And or the deen, the religion is not complete. I have to put something to make it complete. That's, I mean, like that's one of the implications of that. And also when the religion is imperfect, I have to, I mean, to make it, to improve it or to make it perfect. These are the implications of when you do bid'ah, when you do something innovation in the deen. But with what is about with the worldly life, transaction, we are free. That ways of innovation there. There are room for innovation there. If it's done, that does not go beyond, I mean, against the rule of fairness and justice. Now also apostasy. This one of them, because is not allowed to go out. Once you are Muslim, you cannot go out. You have to stay, you cannot go, because that's to prevent you from going outside of Islam. But there are many things. Okay, if someone goes outside of Islam, what should be like? Is the punishment should be killed, stoned to death, or killed? I mean, kill. This is a very big topic. I don't want to go to detail because you don't have many time to develop that one at the moment. I mean, that's a part of things like this: how to protect religion. The positive side, do stuff which will strengthen your religion, and the negative side also. Just move to life. Life, the first thing, the positive side, one of them is just to save life. Islam tries to save life as much as possible. Whatever save life, Islam will just try to maximize it, to do it, to seek that thing to prevent life. And we know that in the day of judgment, because the first thing everyone will be asked about is salat. And this is part of the religion, part of the worship. After that, but among people is life. The first thing people will be questioned about is life. If you are taking someone's life, it's not yours. Even it's not his. I mean, life belongs to Allah. Allah gives, life and death. But you are not allowed to take your own, your own life. Okay, we have to save life. And also the death penalty, how they call it, legal retribution. Allah says, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاةٌ. For you and legal retribution, there is a life. What you say, okay, but you are killing someone and you're saying it's a life. Yes, Allah says it's a life. Because that prevents people from killing other people. Because sometimes you become so angry, nothing can stop you from killing someone. But if you know you will be killed, maybe you will think, twice before you just do, that. What is only, this is the unpremeditated murder, because you have the, not manslaughter. There is no legal retribution in that. But it's only when you just murder someone intentionally. Even for that, now we have the legal system. Okay, you kill someone, you go to jail for life, you have life sentence. Okay, let's look at that. How just is that? First of all, someone took someone from me. Okay, Allah did it, but he was the cause to take that person from me. Be it my husband, my wife, my father, okay. If that person goes to jail for life sentence, what I'm benefiting from that in the first place? What is my benefit? What is my right in that? He took someone from me. What is my right? He's in jail, okay, and so what? I don't benefit anything from that. But in Islam, there are 3 rights related to that soul. One right is for Allah. And the second is the people, the relative of that person. And the third is the person killed or murdered. The right of Allah, you do tawbah. Not tawbah, you do kafara. You have to free a slave. If now is difficult. You fast 2 months, 60 days consecutively. You'd have to do that. That's kafara. But the relative of the person, you have to pay money to them. They have 2 rights. They can say, okay, either you get killed, they demand, because they have to demand. If you murder someone, that his family has to demand you to be killed. It depends on the circumstance. If it is a public right or the private right, it depends. If it's private, private mean someone just premeditated someone to kill, a person, not to attack a group, or to do to spread a fear. That's something, because that is different. But just premeditate, plan a murder to kill someone, only one person. When he did that, the relative of that person have right to say, okay, we forgive, but you have to pay us something. Or we are seeking for legal retribution and you get killed. You will say, okay, maybe, getting killed, what you get benefit from that. This is what if that's what they want. because they have right, they have a say in that. But in that normal citizen, they have no say. You will say, okay, no, we get jail for life sentence, and then so what? Not in Islam. But when there is a manslaughter, there is no, we cannot, there is no legal retribution there. We have to take money. Okay, it's easy, it's something like at least, but yeah, money cannot replace the person. But at least you have some right. But the right of that person murder, the part that will be judgment between you and the person who did that and that person in the judgment. That was, Abu Hanifa said, and regarding that even if there's some disagreement regarding that, to say that the three rights attributed to a murder. But this is Islam that Allah says, and legal retribution, you have to save life. Because sometimes people will be very so angry that nothing will stop them from just killing someone. But if you know, when you will get killed. If you just murder anyone, when you get killed, that you will see. And now, okay, we know that many people are just, how to say, murder is not decreasing, it's increasing. You know why? Because people look at the end, okay, I can kill and I will live. Because if you just take someone's life, why should have right to live? Because you just took someone's life. Why you should have right to live in the first place? Unless that person, okay, his family say, or his relatives, okay, we forgive him, let him go. That's something. But you did it. You don't have right to life. Why you have to live? Who gives you that right? This is Islam. That's the justice to anyone. That's, the prevention of life. And even what we do not know, any system established to prevent life, to prevent death and protect life, it becomes Sharia. What we do not know, people do not know, like even the traffic rules, it's part of Sharia. People just, a Muslim, you go over speed, is haram. Because when it says before, sometimes, okay, how that can be haram? It's not from Quran. No. It doesn't have to be from Quran. They call that maslaha al-mursala. Like there's some benefit which, because Allah wants us to protect life. Whatever can protect life and safety rules become obligatory on everyone. When you go against him, it's not about you get sin, a sinful act. It's not like you, because we do not, sometimes you don't see Allah anything. You say, okay, you just go over speed, you just, cross, I would say a traffic, cross the traffic light. And you say, okay, because maybe this is a country rule. No. This is part of Sharia, because it has been put in there to prevent life. And whatever prevent life, safety rules, traffic rules, whatever, it becomes Sharia, it will become obligatory on every Muslim to follow. Because to prevent life, it's one of the big objectives of Islam. And we come to the negative side. We said murder is forbidden, because to protect life, this is a negative side, something you should not do to protect life. We have abortion, it's part of it. You don't have that right. Right of abortion, Islam, it doesn't exist. It's not Shia. It's in your body, but it's not for you. It's not, an ownership for you. You don't have that right, unless if you just, have some critical, critical issue on the health of the mother. That's something else. That's okay, because that now we have two problems. We have two harm, but we have to go for the minimum one. Is just to end the life of the child, not her mother. Okay, that's an extreme case, but you cannot, there's no abortion in Islam. It's haram, totally haram. Only in those critical, in some extreme cases, when it just, present a threat in the life of the mother. And suicide is the same, because you do not belong to yourself. We all belong to Allah. You cannot take your own life, because it's not yours. And we have anything which can harm life, which like cigarette. That's why some say, okay, cigarette is not haram. When you put cigarettes now, anything which can harm your health and harm you as a person is haram. You do not need anything. This is the general rule. Allah says, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not kill yourself. That's it. Whatever can be the cause to kill you, it becomes preventive. It becomes, impermissible in Islam. You don't have to have, okay, this, no. If it can kill you, if there is a major threat to your life, it becomes haram for it to do. Unless in some extreme cases, but that you have to, to look at that, carefully to see, any situation or any, circumstances may be different from people. It depends on the extreme case, on the circumstances, on the information, and what we know to just assess those type of situations. And this is what when it comes to life. Now let's go to intellect. The positive side, the first thing is knowledge. That's why the first ayah in Quran is Iqra, read. Because that is to maximize your intellectual life. You read, you know what is there. You make, because we make decisions. And for that decision, we need our mind to think. We need, to make the right decision. For right decision, you need knowledge. You need information. You have to calm mind to just make a good decision. And knowledge is the key in that area, to know information, knowledge. That's why Allah, anything like just, if you see Quran, Allah just referring to that again and again and again. Iqra, read. لِقَوْمِ يَعْلَمُونَ, for people who know. أَفَلَا تَتَفَكَّرُونَ, don't you think? Don't you meditate? Everything about the intellect life, thinking, meditating, observation, looking at things. Allah just referred that again and again. Ulil albab is people of intellect, people of intelligence. Allah just referring to that intellect life again and again and again. You see that in Quran. Whenever you read Quran, you see that. The first ayah, Iqra, and not only that, but always Allah is referring to that. People, لِقَوْمِ يَعْقِلُونَ, people who understand. لِقَوْمِ يُوقِنُونَ, people who just believe. لِقَوْمِ يَعْلَمُونَ, for people who know. Just referring to that again and again and again. This is a positive thing in the Quran. But the negative one is anything which can affect life, can affect your mind, negatively, become forbidden in Islam. First off is alcohol, drugs, any negative of harmful content, psychologically, or even in terms of ideology, any ideology which can intoxicate your mind. Atheism or anything, you cannot handle it, you are not allowed to expose yourself to this type of, because it will just be problematic. It just affect your religion at the end. And if we want to go now to the lineage, that's any harmful content, content should be forbidden in Islam to just protect your intellectual life. Anything you do to protect your intellectual life is part of Islam. Because Islam just gives you general rules. It's for every time. It's for all the time, till the end of the day. We think, okay, this is the way to just protect life, based on the research, based on the scientific research, on our discovery and findings. We say, okay, we should do it this way. The tools, the means is left to us. But we know the end point, the finality is just to prevent, to maximize, our intellectual life, and to just try to minimize any effect on our intellectual life. And now we go to lineage. About lineage is the process, the process of recreation in Islam. In Islam, there are only two ways you can make, the creation can happen. It's either in marriage, either with Islam, is to have a slave woman, but that time is is past now, but we don't know. But let's go stick with that, which is marriage. That's the only way someone can come, because there are some rights and obligation related to that. Let's look, because even in financial dealing, we have problem with that. That's why we see, first Allah just say to people, just marry. Because marriage also takes all the five, they call the five judgment in Islam, they call it can be something wajib, it's become obligatory upon you, based on your circumstances. It can become haram on you sometimes. It become mubah, licit for you, or permissible. It become mustahab, recommended, and it become makruh, something makruh is something it's not haram, but when you do it, when you don't do it, you get reward. That's what makruh means. But I forget the word for makruh is reprehensible. Yeah, that's makruh, reprehensible. Now, in marriage, once the marriage become haram, become wajib on you, when you have the financial the financial capability to marry, and you cannot prevent yourself from committing zina, it becomes wajib on you. These are two obligations. If you are in this situation, marriage is not it becomes compulsory on you, because in Sharia they say, "Ma la yatimul wajib illa bifahu wajib." Whatever, if you cannot fulfill a wajib, an obligation, without something, that something becomes obligatory upon you. And because you have the right, you have the obligation to not commit zina. If marriage is a way to prevent you to do that, marriage becomes obligatory upon you if you have the financial support to do it. If not, you are obliged, for chastity, to just retain yourself. It can become mubah. Mubah is just, you have the financial, you have money to do it. But you don't have problem. You don't have problem with wife. You don't fear yourself to commit zina or anything. It's mubah. You can do it or not. Sometimes you come back, haram become like when you don't have, okay, sometimes you cannot give all the rights of the marriage, but you do not fear yourself to committing zina. Maybe someone who like had maybe some health and medical problem, it become like can be haram. I mean, depend on some circumstances. And that's why Allah just say, for Prophet Sallallahu said, Ya ma'ashara shabab, oh, the young, I mean the youngster, man istata minkum al-ba'a falyatazawwaj. Whoever can just have, I mean, the financial support, the financial capability to marry, just marry. He said it's better, like it can protect your gaze, to protect you, lower your gaze, and wahsan al-farj is better for your chastity. That's why Islam is promoting marriage. Because we know, and the world we're living in now, because Islam is like a wonderful religion. It does not forbid stuff. It just gives alternatives. You want this, this is the way you have to do it. This is the right way to do it. But you just forbid, not because it is a physical need or is a biological need, but it's okay, you have to do it this way. If not, just return, abstain yourself until you have, I mean, the mean to do nikah or to marry. And whatever can just lead to haram, Sharia will make it haram. That's why, I mean, you know, many of the scholars say, whenever you just commit a major sin, there is no doubt that like you have passed by many minor sins to get there. Because if something, a major sin is haram, every way leading to there will become haram. You will see that when it comes to fornication or adultery. And marriage, Islam just encourages marriage, virginity, chastity. And part of that protection is hijab. Woman to protect. It's not hijab is okay for woman, we know that. But for man also, you have the requirement to also to not hijab like woman, but you have to protect yourself because it's about fitna. It's about that like desire. We know we are so fragile sometimes. The woman, I mean, Islam says, okay, you have to cover yourself. And you, a man, you shouldn't look at her in the first place. Because when Islam just have a regulation or anything, it's not only for just for one side, it's for both sides. You have to cover yourself, and you shouldn't look. Now, as I say, if when Islam forbids something, it's in the collective level. It shouldn't be a woman, naked woman in a Muslim society. In the first place, okay, if we cannot prevent that, she's okay. I'm free. I do whatever I want. And she go out like, okay, without hijab, you don't have the right to look at her. That become you have to lower your gaze because it will lead and what? You know, what is haram? Because whatever lead to haram become haram in itself. And now we see the negative thing is just fornication, adultery. And that's why you have to lower your gaze. Sometimes you say lineage because when a child comes to this life, there's some right, he has some rights. And those rights, now, let's make that clear. Since a woman comes, like a woman or a lady is born in this life, and tells that there is no financial obligation on her, period. That's in Islam. There is no financial obligation on a woman in Islam, period. But when they come, that means there is a man. If you say any abandoned woman, there is a man is not doing what he should be doing, or the society at all. The first start with the father. To be a father, you have to marry. If you don't marry, you do not have that right of father. I mean, you don't become a father. That's one. You have to marry first. Now you have the obligation to, financially to look after your children. When they become, responsible, man, the male, they are responsible for themselves financially, but the woman will always have, like, it will be responsible for them. And then they get married. When they get married, that transit from the father to the husband. When that's finished also, like it comes sometimes, you cannot go, if they don't have husband, it's the father, then it comes to their brother, if they have a brother. If not, it come, even if they have a child, a son, it comes on their son, like financial obligation. If there is no that, the collective, the community will be obliged to take care of them. This becomes a collective obligation to take care, to give her the minimum, which is shelter, clothes, and food. and whatever like become, I mean, not necessary, but a need in a society based on the standard of living in that society. But now, let's have this now equation. A woman, she's not married. Because to get married, that's why you need an approval of a man. It's not just to put, to put a woman down. No, I'll just try to explain that. Now you have a woman, and Islam, she are not obliged to go out. I know now, like with feminism and stuff, something you just try to put Islam, it doesn't sink in and so on. But I try to just to see how Islam look at the thing. Now, you have a woman, she's not obliged to go out in the first place. Because why she has to go out? She is not responsible to feed someone. She's not financially responsible for anyone. She can choose to be at home or go out to do something else, but she's not obliged to go. It's different than a man. You are a man, you are obliged to go out. Okay, now we can, okay, so I'm going to work from home. Okay, that's good. But you have obliged because you have financial obligation. Woman doesn't have that. Don't have financial obligation. If that's the rule, Islam cannot say, okay, now, when you get married, because you do not know the outside world, outside world, how it is there. And now to protect you, Islam say, okay, your marriage need to have a man approval. What does that mean? Because if anything go wrong, your financial burden is on them. They have a say. One. The second thing, you are going to be married to a man. This is a man, he's outside, he knows people more than you, because at the normal standard woman Muslim, you do not mix up with man. We don't have the relationship outside that relationship with man. You do not know them in the normal way. Because Islam, when it puts, it's a system. We cannot, when something go wrong, it's okay, no, now the time has changed. No, time has changed, that's true, but you have to stick with that value. Because a woman, Islam assumes you don't have a relation with any man. Except for people like around you, your relatives, your brothers, that's something, but they are not like other men. You do not know the outside world because you are not obliged to go to the outside world. You do not have to make this to make money. You do not know people. Now Islam appointing someone to look after you because you have to make one of the major decisions in your life to marry, and that person you have responsibility. You need someone who knows that outside world. And he's a man, he can know many people who know that person more than you because you don't go out. It's just to protect you. It's not like any act of underestimation to say, I'm a woman. No, it's just to protect you. Because, okay, some women will go out, but if I choose not to go, I'm at home, I just stay here because I don't have to go out. Someone had to take care of me financially. I see that, okay, when I get married, how can I make a better decision regarding man who to marry, who is a good person? I don't know. But there is a man who is outside there. It just because the financial implication, let's say, now a woman just make it for and have had a son or a child outside the marriage, who have to be responsible for that child who comes to the world now, because the other one is not a father in Islamic perspective, is not a father. That means he does not have a financial obligation. Is not financially. Is not. Obliged financially to look after the child because it's not his child. He becomes a child of a woman. And because a woman doesn't have any financial obligation, that becomes the responsible of the one who's looking after that woman. How someone like you will have, because normally when you any financial obligation, you have a say. What I mean, you have a say. You get married, this is your decision, and you have to look after them. If you decide to have a child, this is your decision. You just look after them. But if someone have, let's say child with someone you are, a woman you are responsible for, that child responsibility will fall on you, but you have no say in that because that person didn't come to the big door to just come to the way, the things should happen. That become a problem. Now, if you don't have that capacity to just look after them financially, how this child will be in the society? Who will look after him? Because in Islam society is not his, he's not from the father. Yes, biologically it's from him, but Islam, because you do not come to the right way to do it, Islam does not give that the father right. You do not have that father right. Okay, 10 minutes left. Okay, that's what is that? You see financial implication in society. You have people like, hey, I'm single mother. Okay, I have this, I have that. What does come from? And Muslim something that no single mother. Because the only way child to come to this world is through marriage. And when in the marriage, it doesn't matter if the son is, the child is born in marriage. If you are divorced or not, that person is still responsible for that kid. For that child. It doesn't matter because it's your responsibility. It's your decision. Unless something happen, which is like, okay, like rape case only, but this will become like society will look after those type of children. This is what you see them. When you just look at all the system, you see it makes sense. That's why just to protect women, you need to want someone approval to get married. Because you don't know outside what. If you have money, alhamdulillah, that's a good thing. But you are not financially obliged. But the obligation also on man is not everything, not a luxurious thing. It's about the necessity, which is shelter, food, dress, and health. That was the necessity. That's the minimum. If they can do more, that's it. But you cannot say, okay, you're responsible for me. You have to buy me this car or buy this iPhone for me. No, this is not an obligation because it's not a need. Even if the need is not a need, a phone may be a need, but iPhone is not a need. A transport is a need, but not a car, a private car. This is not a need. It depends on the situation. It depends if you have a big family, but that will depend, but we can judge that. This is regarding the lineage. The only way, now everything, just relating to that fornication or Islam will forbid it, is regarding touching. Look at anything like pornography stuff, like that. And that one, touching a woman or a man, someone who you can marry, it doesn't matter how that. If you can marry someone, if your cousin, you can marry them. It's not like he's my cousin. No, it's not Islam. It's not Islam that because this type of rule is because the consequence is very, very serious. Someone you can marry, you cannot touch them. One, they cannot touch you. Two, the woman you are not allowed to touch a man, including shake hand. It's part of the touch. It's not like shake hand is touching her and that's all. It's haram. The same, you cannot touch a man because it's to lead to something Islam is preventing in the first place. Touching, lower the gaze. If touching without necessity, if you are a doctor, you have to touch a woman or a man. That's something else. That necessity, that's different. And Islam forbid anything which can shake your desire against man or woman. It become forbidden. Even if like they will go that extreme case, even if your sister from the same father and mother become a source of temptation for you, it become wajib on her to have hijab with you. That is Islam. How extreme Islam can go. Sometimes to prevent that thing from happening. That's what Islam says. Even like the child, ask them to pray from the age of 7. When they are 10, at 10, normally, in normal life, now we're trying to spoil the child, with all these laws and education stuff. But they do not know anything about this, sexual course or anything, normally, not now with screen or television, I don't know, but they do not know. From that, early child Islam says, separate them. They cannot live, sleep together. You have to separate, they shouldn't live, sleep in the same room. To prevent them from the early age. From just committing something which should be, you should prevent in the first place. Now we go to wealth. Wealth, okay, we have, I will go quickly, but I think time is running. You have zakat, which is like a distribution, because people say zakat is not charity. Charity is something you give, which is not obligatory, but zakat is an obligation. Okay, that one. And also zakat is only some lumps, you can say alms, which is like equivalent, but it's something you give to poor. Zakat is not only for the poor, it's for 8 categories, which is mentioned in Surah Tawbah. And zakat is part of it's like about social redistribution of wealth. Because in a society, like the poor, you are a wealthy person, you have to look after that collectively, because we see the financial balance there and equilibrium in the and financial system. This what's come. Zakat is part of it. Trade, Islam just says, Allah has made trade licit for you. Trade, we need trade because no one is self-sufficient. We need something which is in the hand of others, and the only way to get it, either they get it, they give it to you as a gift, or you just trade, you do an exchange with that thing. That's why Allah just trade is licit. Production. Any product, you have the story of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. One of the company comes to Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he was just like begging. The Prophet said, "Come here, okay. What do you have there?" He was just asking for help. What's the Prophet calling? Come here. What do you have at home? He said, "I just want a plate." Because okay, just bring it for me. You just take it. We'll say who will buy that? Like an auction. Someone said, "I'm gonna buy it at one dinar." Like the dinar is like a coin made from gold. Okay, so say who can add? Who can just give more, increase? Someone said 2 dinars. Who can increase? No one was there. You give it to the person who just 2 dinars. The prophet said, okay, you know the £1, one dinar, take it, go and just shop lots of food, like for your family. And the second, just go and like buy how would they call the material we come to like to break the wood with it. I don't know the name in English, but I think you understand. Buy that for me and come. The prophet you just go and just cut a wood and just tied it with him and give it to him. Go and just go and cut wood and come and sell it. I don't want to see your face in 2 weeks. He went there, this providing a capital to people to encourage them to be productive in society. Yusuf had done that. And the Prophet said, just like encouraging us to work. He said, إذا قامت الساعة وفي يد أحدكم فصيلة من ذهب فصيلة فإن استطاع أن لا يتم حتى يغرسها فليفعل. Meaning, if like the end date, the day of judgment come, like it's come, like it's not 1 second away, and you have a seed, you want to plant that seed. If you can just not live without planting that seed, do it. It means you don't have to see the benefit of the work we are doing now. Do something even new is, the end of the day, you are going there, but plant that seed before you go. That was, the prophet said, to encourage people to work. And a fair financial dealing. And and even the record debt. You see, the longest ayah in Quran is the ayah about debt. It's about debt. It's not like something you say, no, this is a serious matter. You have to record it. Every detail, 1 page, 15 lines. The longest ayah in Quran is not about fasting or praying, it's about debt, financial dealing between people. How you see how Islam has protect financial, property and wealth. We go to the negative side, gambling is haram. Because of that, to protect wealth. The wealth should go to something productive, not like for excessive gambling or for excessive for people who just speculate. Or no, you shouldn't make this. We have to make a real value, add real value to the economy. The gambling is not a real value to the economy. It's a zero-sum game. You know what you lose, I own what I win what you lose, and you lose what you win what I lose. That's why it's zero-sum game. You have riba, which is like taking money unjustly. Is haram because of that, to prevent. You have cheating. You cannot cheat in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said, al-bayan bil khiyar. Two people we have option when they are making the negotiation to do a trade. Okay, malam yatafarraqa. And before they get separated, because they conclude that deal. If they just do that deal like in transparency and fairness, Allah will just Allah will put barakah in their business, in that transaction. Allah will bless that transaction. But if you just cheat each other and just hide information, Allah will just take the barakah, the blessing from that transaction. You make money from a trade because of a cheating, you don't benefit from it. You have money, but there is no barakah. You have problem more than you got. All this is type of life to Islam prevent. And you have also robbery, burglary, all this haram to prevent people wealth. And you can go more and more. When you look at all this, to sum up, we see it, we link what was it, this haram, this wajib, it depends on the severity of that thing to just how it can cause harm to one of these things, because major sin or minor sin. This is like, okay, I think time, we'll just finish here. And I think I was able to just give you like a brief interview about all this, how Islam tries to pray, to have the global thinking, like the big picture about Islam preventing this, and because it's a system and whole. The more you just stick to the roots of Allah, the happier and the better off you are. But the more you are away from that, it's like a system. You'll have problem. Like if you are like, okay, my body, if I have problem in my eye, I will feel it. I won't be like someone who is 100% fit. It depends. It's the same thing. When you just hold, you do not do something the way you should do, you will have problem in that system. And when this problem in the system, it does not function well, you will have like the problem and crisis based on that. What is broken in that system. I will just stop here. I think hopefully I didn't go over time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I think that was Jazakallah